Hello and welcome to our podcast, Cozy Conversations with the Sister Project. I'm Lauren and I'm Michelle, and we're so excited you stopped by for a visit. Come on in. Yeah, make yourself at home. We're two Midwestern sisters who love a good old-fashioned conversation and enjoy sharing our life experiences with one another and you. Consider this your one-stop shop for cozy, mindful well-being, along with some entertainment and lots of wheezy laughing. Oh, you bet there'll be a lot of that going around. Our goal is to live our coziest life and inspire you to do the same, because the truth is, we think it's good for your mind and your body. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, let's get cozy. Well, hello there, listener, and welcome to Cozy Conversations with the Sister Project. I am your host, Lauren, being joined by my cozy co-host and cozy contributor, Michelle Anderson.
Right
welcome,
here, guys,
sister.
right here, reporting to you live from my kitchen.
Live
a little hoarse,
kitchen.
but here
We both are. We sound like we smoked a carton of Marlboro Reds yesterday.
No. Just witch cackled into a megaphone and sang my balls off.
Yeah, not me. I got a little bit of a little seasonal cold, if you will. So I'm just nursing that. But all things are good here at the Sister Project. We had a fabulous weekend being witchy. Michelle, like she mentioned, sang with the pigs. Mm-hmm. And so we're here to introduce a great podcast where we are touching on all witchy things. And we're sharing a little something we've had it with. So you'll have to tune in to hear about that. But, we're releasing some frustration with just some basic humans that we are encountering in our everyday lives. But you'll have to listen to the full episode to hear all that. For now, Michelle, you've got some housekeeping.
Yeah, just a little updates, folks, listeners, local people that are around town. First and foremost, the pigs are playing at the third Nightmare at the Elm in LaGrange on October 26th. I think we're looking at a 7:38 start time. Just come. You don't need to make a reservation. Just show yourself.
Do people dress up for that, or is that more? No.
A couple of my bandmates do. Somebody asked me if I would dress up, and I think I might just be recycling some of my witch apparel.
Great. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's great. It's a good vibe and it's a great crowd. And then also just a little update on our TSP Pickle League with NetGame. I got a lovely message from Dorothy and our friends over at NetGame saying, hey, we opened up another court for your league. So there are some lucky ladies out there that are getting a late ad. And I actually saw some of them at the LaGrange Area Witches Ride this past weekend who were very excited. The excitement around the Pickle League is high.
These people want it, man.
Yes.
They're hoping for it.
I think somebody said, good on you guys for starting that league. And I have to say, I feel the enthusiasm. So really excited to get that going in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
All right, you guys, that's housekeeping for Cozy Conversations. Please do leave us a review. Listen, it's October. It's my birthday month. Maybe if you're looking to be like, what can I give Lauren for her birthday? You can give us a review and I will give you a lip kiss.
Okay. You've heard it here first. No, you haven't. You've heard it 1,000 times. Mouth kisses.
Whatever you
want.
Closed
her open. She's willing to close her open. Just leave a review.
LFG. So leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It couldn't be any easier. You just open the app, you scroll down, and then you just say, write a review, and then you write it. And while you're doing that, after this podcast episode, I want you to send this to your witchiest, spookiest friend, because they will completely relate to this conversation that we are having here today. All right, listener, thank you so much for pressing play. We greatly appreciate your listenership. Enjoy, stay cozy, stay witchy, get after it. So, Michelle, as you know, I took the train in and to and from your home over the weekend. And, I'm going to take a page out of the ladies from the I've Had It podcast and share something here that I have absolutely had it with.
Let her rip.
Careful. Let her rip. I have absolutely had it. I am so over, make it stop. Let's make something go into legislation with people utilizing their devices on full volume blast. It is the most ignorant,
centered bullshit that I have ever come across. Listen, cut me off on the street. Don't give a shit. Some guy walked past my car the other day and literally I was at a light and I was a dude just walking across, probably had some mental health issues. I was just waiting for the lights to turn green. He walked in front of my car, stopped, flipped me the bird. I'm like, sweet home Chicago. Yes, I am home.
Yep.
That felt good. Thank you, sir. He kept walking. He didn't pollute my moment with his noise of bullshit coming from his phone. And that is where I have to say that I have completely had it with people's phones on volume blast.
Why do people
It's
think,
so fucking annoying.
Is it because we are in a world that feels less connected and people just don't give a shit about what's going on around them?
All of the above. And, I'm looking and it's this, she's got to be, I don't know, maybe 19, so well above the age of knowing better. So I just chalk that up to you're a ignorant, selfish asshole. She's playing Fruit Ninja. So here's the other thing. It's not like she's blasting classical music, okay? Because I would have been like, whatever, Enya, okay. She's blasting Fruit Ninja. So all you get are these like triggers of slicing and dicing and hayas and jingles and jangles when she wins a prize. And I turned around. And I had my black sunglasses on and I made a full body turn. So I wanted her to feel the presence of my body turning. And I lowered my head so that my eyeballs could be seen above my glass rim.
Did she see you? Did she feel and see you?
I gave her a death stare.
Yeah.
She felt it because the energy was flowing in her direction. And the message was clear. Shut the fuck up with your phone.
Listen, I feel you here completely on this. There's nothing that makes me more rageful than being, I've shared this before. I've been in yoga class studios before yoga started. I mean, it says no phones allowed, but everybody brings their phone, whatever. And a gal decided to have a speaker conversation in the pre 10 minutes of a yoga session.
Where was that's where where was the instructor?
Not in the room yet because we were all waiting. People were stretching, they were breathing, meditating, kind of easing into their moment. Now I have to tell you, somebody with an ADHD brain who literally is distracted by, really things like that. It incites almost like, it's like a combination rage and like an anxiousness when I am hearing the constant and loud, and it's like yelling, and I'm like,
Michelle, I don't think
the fuck out of here.
Michelle, I don't think you have to be an individual with just ADHD to be triggered by that. That is a person. Here, when I come in my yoga class, we have very strict rules. If someone's talking loud, I come in and say, gentle reminder, everyone. Let's use our yogi voices or no voices at all. This is a peaceful environment. That woman, she's up there with the rude asshole on the train. And then on my way home.
Asshole.
Yeah. And then on the way home, that was on the way out to the burbs. On the way home from the burbs. Now I'm trying to go into the city and there's these kids from Naperville. And I know that because they're talking, they're saying, from Naperville to Chicago. I heard their whole conversation because there are about 10 of them on the upper decker level. And they were watching a football game on blast, cheering, and then jumping from the top of the upper decker to the bottom to use the bathroom because they were chugging beers up there.
Wait, we couldn't get to, we're not walking down
the
stairs.
No, they couldn't walk. And then, they were like pumped up with testosterone and Bud Light that on the way back in, one of the guys was like, I bet you can't climb back up here. And I'm like, okay, listen, cavemen. So now I've got cavemen boys dangling from the rafters trying to pull themselves, pull-ups onto the upper decker. And I just want to say, let's start to act like civilized, normal human beings again. That's all I'm asking for.
Starts at home.
Let's make the train system great. Let's make the train system great again.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
So that's
brutal. You know what? Those are the things about the train that I don't miss. Back in the day,
that's the first time I've had I love the train. The train is where I go. I take the train out of pure pleasure and convenience. And these assholes took that away from me. But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do it again. I'll go back.
Times have changed. Back in the day, the vomit comet, I think that was the last train out of the city. That's what we called it. The vomit. Actually, the conductors called
Wait,
it
the vomit comet?
It was the last train out of the city. I don't know what time it ran, like 11:30, whatever. That one was usually saved for all the madness and baloney. And, you get the occasional rude a-hole on the regular rush hour train. But for the most part, it was safe for them. But it sure seems like times have changed. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. After I got off the train in Union Station on my way home, I saw the conductor like one of the train reps standing outside, letting people off the train. I went up to him.
Yeah, what did he say?
I asked him, I said, "Hey, sir, good evening." He said, "Hello." And I said, "I got a question for you. What's up with the people like using their phones at full blast and people acting kind of like assholes? Like, are we not allowed to are you guys, because listen, as a passenger, I shouldn't have to confront strangers to act normal. Like kids hanging from the rafters, that's their job to say like, hey guys, if you can't act normal,
and they used to throw
get off
people
at
out.
Halstead.
They'd be thrown
and then
out.
walk
They'd be like,
there. Have fun getting off at Halstead. Okay. Best of luck. No. And I asked him, I said, what's the deal? He goes, well, it's a weekend and we don't have quiet cars. It's not a quiet car schedule, on the schedule. And I said, well, so what's the deal? These people just act like
do they have
assholes?
Basic etiquette cars?
No, they don't have that. And he's
cars?
like, listen, he goes, people just do what they do. And I go, I used to love riding the train. And this right here was a bad experience. He goes, I get it all the time. All the time he hears about it. People acting like dickheads.
And no one's doing anything about it.
No, because people are scared to politely confront one another. And you know what? That's why we'll talk about cursing people with hemorrhoids later in our conversation, because that is the power of being a witch. And trust me, all those boys are sitting on little donuts
raging
this weekend because I was cursing each one of them with hemorrhoids so big that just the tender touch of their seat, touching the seat, they popped right back up again. Owie.
And donuts are sold out. No one's sitting on any donuts. They are suffering through your hemorrhoids. Thank to you, because you cleared the stores of any access to preparation age, witch's hazel. They're not allowed to have
witch
that
hazel.
either.
None of that. No.
Fuck them.
Michelle, after that experience, I said, I gotta, rewire my brain. Yeah, reset my energy. So I spent the rest of the weekend decorating. I decorated my home for Halloween, and then I got mums. And I have to say a shout out to Home Depot. I saw other places that had mums too. They have the best mums.
No kidding.
In my very,
what makes a good
knowledge.
Mom? What's a good mum for you? Tell me.
The fullness of the flower.
The plant, okay.
The flower itself, it's bulbous, it's round, it's very I don't know, it just screams fall. The color selection at Home Depot, I'm talking almost like a faint hazy pink and this kind of sunrise, sunset colors, just really stunning. So, and is it true that you're supposed to water the shit out of
every
them?
single day?
Morning and night?
When it's hot. No, not morning and night.
Oh,
morning.
Shoot.
Every single day, you're supposed to water plants in the morning. Ideally, it's best to water them from the bottom. Like you can pop them in like a bucket.
I'm not going to pop mine in a bucket.
But you can just water them. Just hit the root from the inside of the plant.
Okay,
you know
excellent.
What I'm saying?
I did a little research too, because I like to see what the meanings of certain flowers are. And among, the seasons, these are the most popular chrysanthemums. I guess that's the full name of them, but they are lovingly referred to as the queen of fall flowers. The mum is symbolic for many reasons. They symbolize joy, life, friendship, and rebirth. And part of the beauty is its resilience in the face of sudden drop in temperature. So I'm going to be more like a mum this season, this holiday season, and I'm going to be more resilient to not just drops in temperatures, but drops in human decency.
Love it. Be more like a mom. We're going to get a t-shirt made. Be more like a mom. Will you be planting your mums in the ground?
No, they just go in pots.
Okay, because they're perennials and they come back.
Oh, maybe I could. No, I won't. You know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to say that. I'm not going to do that. No, I'm just going to enjoy the shit out of them. I have so many. I bought so many. My backyard looks like mom's barfed all over the place.
Love
it's beautiful.
Yeah. Surrounded by constant reminders to be more like the moms.
I'm going to be more like a mom. And how about you? How was the rest of your weekend?
It was freaking great. It was busy as hell. Saturday almost killed me between the witches ride and then the pig gig after.
I had to talk about this. How did you guys, So listen, we're going to dive into this. We went to the witch ride on Saturday, which is pretty much an all afternoon affair. And then Michelle had to continue that momentum and then not just go somewhere. She had to bring it on stage and sing with in her band, the Pigs. Tell me, how did you have a shot of espresso? Do you resilience? Yeah. Are you more like a mom and you're just like, let's fucking go? Like, what's the deal?
I had 2 shots of espresso and that did absolutely nothing. I'll just tell you that right now. But thankfully, we did a private party. Shout out to John Malade for reaching out and Katie for reaching out and hiring the Pigs to come and entertain their guests. The fall vibes were there. The vibes outside, the stringing lights, the energy of the people. That's what got me to power through this. Quite an interesting crowd. I mean, I'm telling you, it was a wild bunch of folks, which made it fun. But
what is that? What is an interesting mix of crowds?
Well, we were asked to stop so a gentleman could do his version of the national anthem, which was it was his.
Was he good?
Nope. Oh. But everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. It was hysterical.
All that matters.
And you know what? I'll share a video with you later so you can hear. I personally loved when Tim started playing one string of his violin to the melody of the tune. Unbelievable. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I was kind of counting songs to see where we were in the set list because the battery was draining.
Yep.
And at the end of the gig, there's nothing left to give.
No.
But I do have to say our drummer, Dave Schwartz, he tore his Achilles last week. He had surgery on Friday. He played with the Pigs on Saturday night.
I don't know how he did it.
Brutal, but he did it. And then I finished the weekend having a family dinner with Ryan's side of the family. We went to Greek Islands and just absolutely shoveled in the Greek food.
You guys, we've talked about this. We have given a shout out to Greek Islands a couple times. It is a family nostalgia classic of the Massarella family.
That's
like my communion was there. My first communion was there.
My kid's baby shower, I think, was there.
Yeah.
Or maybe my wedding shower or whatever. Someone's shower. There were things there.
There were things there. Many things there. We've been going there for years. In fact, the head of valet at the Greek town downtown, he's still there. He looks great. Those Greeks, they age beautifully. His hair is a little like whiter, but he's tan. His skin is still shiny. He glows. It's just, and he's just in charge of all the valet guys. And they're so nice. If you have not yet been to a Greek Islands, there's one in Lombard. There's one in the downtown in Greek town. Check it out. Their avgo lemino, their soup is delicious. Their saganaki, their flaming cheese is fucking so good.
I like to do an appy start with the scordelia, which is like the Greek potato spread that you can literally
Greek potato spread. It's
garlic. I meant
it's
garlic.
Potato and garlic.
Yeah, it's all garlic.
Like a potato.
Yeah, you're right. It's like mostly garlic and a half of a potato. But then what you do, here's the trick. This is how you enjoy this. You can enjoy this with the sesame bread that they just keep coming.
Which is so good.
Best part is like the bread never ends.
Crusty
but
sesame
we
bread.
like to snack. We like to smear the scordelia on our beets and our fried zucchini.
Oh, keep going.
And then what else do we didn't get this yesterday, but the grilled octopus crispy is delicious. My entree was the Mediterranean salmon.
How do you say? Do you say gyros or gyros?
I say gyros.
Yeah, that's how we've always said it.
We've been through this. We're not saying gyro. We're not saying gyro. Like we've said before, they'll shit on your food in the back. They won't, but I think it's funnier to think they will.
But we worry that they might. So good. So you had a lovely, with your in-laws, your lovely in-laws, sexy Jan and Charlie. 'Tis the season. The holidays are coming up. I am so excited to see what Jan brings to the dessert table this year. Jan, I can't wait.
I know. She's probably already thinking about it. She may have it already made up and frozen, waiting for us.
That's how Jan is. She's ahead of the game.
She's on
All
it.
right. You guys, so on Saturday, as we mentioned, Michelle and I, this was Michelle's first, my second. We rode with our good friend, Nikki Blattner, and our little sister, Andrea, of Strictly Sourdough. So if you need any sourdough, check out @Strictly Sourdough on Instagram. And we did the witch ride, and it was fantastic. It's the LaGrange Area Witch Ride. It supports the LaGrange Historical Society, which is right over there on like 47th and LaGrange. So it's fun to be on your bikes dressed as a witch, supporting a good cause,
and
upholding the historical aspect of our town.
And driving through the town that you're supporting. Like, I love that. I didn't get to do it the year before, so I really didn't know what was going to happen. But to be able to drive, the route is literally up and down a big chunk of LaGrange's streets. So
beautiful homes,
gorgeous homes. Some of them brought it with the decor,
and the energy. People were on there, like, as we're riding our bikes, people have like their chairs set up and little kids on the side of the road,
it was really
little
cute.
Witches and mini witches, like the little girls. That really, I loved seeing the young girls dressed up as little witches, because I can relate to, and then seeing, if I had been that girl growing up and seeing, I don't know, what were we, 250 of us witches riding past. Oh, I would be starting a coven I would have started one at the age of 7.
I loved the energy of the witches. Like, it just from beginning to end, it really was such a good vibe. Shout out to Kathy Beyer and all of the women that supported and ran this event. They spared no detail.
No, they do such a good job. And all the sponsors, we sponsored a witch this year. And the witches were created by different artists throughout town. And then they were just kind of placed in the different parts of the Historical Society and the corner of 47th and LaGrange. But you know what I really loved about this community of witches that gathered, our LaGrange coven, if you will, was it was a celebration of like our energy and our love for one another. For, I believe, and even if not all the witches there are like practicing witches and would call themselves a witch during the off season, that we all were celebrating the innate power and feminine wisdom and support that we have for ourselves and for one another. You would see people all dressed up and you're like, oh my God, we kind of all have this one thing in common.
But also I loved everybody's too, their version of what being a witch felt and looked like to them too. It was just great from a creative standpoint, and standing in your power and being surrounded by a bunch of empowered women that also just wanted to go out, gather together and celebrate the frickin' season and the town they live in. And there were some out of towners too. I mean,
there were Nikki, our friend Nikki came in. She joined in from her, she was from her DG coven. She represented for the Downers Grove gals. Yeah. And I have to say, just as you were saying, Michelle, very creative. You would see some like forest witches, like women wearing like almost like leaf crowns that they made with like green capes. There was a whole group of maybe 15 witches that had big, long green capes on, and they were killer. Like, and then of course
they also had a warlock.
They had a warlock with them. Yes. I think he was the only gentleman in all of the witches there. And then, you had your good old classic black pointy hat. Michelle, your outfit was adorable.
Thank you.
I love how you represented your inner witch.
Yeah,
can you tell us a little bit about your costume or your witch wear? Yeah,
I gathered some things that I had and picked up some things on Amazon, but I went kind of plain. But I was feeling like sort of like a I don't know how to describe, like kind of like low key witchy vibe. I had, instead of going with like the tall traditional pointy witch's hat, I'd always had my eye on that like more like kind of slouchy sort of subtle witch's hat.
It's like a knit hat.
I adorned it with one of Mom's pins that had the cat and the broomstick on it that she used to wear on Halloween. And then I had like a really cute, like kind of like asymmetrical, right? Is that just like tulle skirt that I picked up from Amazon, and I paired it with like a blousey black shirt and a belt and my striped tights, and I loved it. What I loved the most though was I actually just switched out the tights and the shirt for a little bit more of a fall vibe later. And that's what I busted. I just comboed that outfit for later when I was playing with the pigs.
Perfect.
It was amazing. Yeah.
And then, I went more like rocker, like this is, but listen, I basically wore what I would wear any day of the year. And I put on a hat, a shit ton of eye glitter, which was a huge hit. People are always like, how do you do your eye glitter? You guys, listen, I bought this glitter at a music fest many moons ago. It's loose glitter. And all you got to do is get yourself like a highlighter, like a cream highlighter. You put the highlighter on first and take your sticky fingers, dab it in the loose glitter. It's going to get everywhere. Who cares? And then you just dab it all over your eyes. And that's it.
You just really slay it.
Hard as hell to get off at the end of the night, trust me.
Kidding.
But you know
what? I
thought
those things would have peeled off.
No, you have that on for a couple of days. And I've got my cape, my see-through celestial cape, and my hat was killer. Amazon's got a great hat out there. You know what? I'm going to do you guys a solid. I'm going to link our witch stuff. So
how about the witch hats that were decorated and also being auctioned off at the event? I loved that. It's
a great idea for even a party, is grabbing like a basic black witch hat and then doing it up, making that your witch.
Totally.
Yeah, it's super cool. So I thought what would be fun would be to dive a little into what it's like to be a witch. Michelle, while we were at the Witch Ride post party at the Elm, I ran into Lisa Gio, who is our friend and also a mindset coach. Lisa helped us create a clearer vision for our brand, over a year ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, she has a book titled Find Your Clear Vision, and she is very good at helping you find it. So if you need someone to help you with your business, whether it's your business or your life plan, highly recommend getting in touch with Lisa.
Yeah, I would say that working with Lisa kind of took us to the next level with our whole look, what we were trying to get the messages we were trying to establish, things like that. She really helped us put a ribbon on that.
Yeah, she's great to work with too. She's fun. And she's also a witch like myself. And, we were standing there, and at one point I said to her, I leaned into her and I said, so how many people do you think here are like practicing a little witchcraft? And she's like, I was just thinking the same thing. And we got to talking about it, and now if you're following her on Instagram, she's starting a coven. She wants to basically come up with a group of women who gather like once a month on Zoom and discuss whatever it is she feels like discussing, but it sounds like it's going to lean a little bit into like a witchy coven vibe, which I'm all for. I'm joining it. I can't wait. And I did some thinking over the weekend after having this amazing experience for the second year in a row with all these women that like leave their home and families for a few hours on a Saturday in October to dress like a witch. And I want to believe that there's more than just dressing up and having drinks and having fun, which all of that is wonderful. I do hope that somewhere or somehow in their everyday life, they're somehow connecting and getting witchy with it to some degree, because I do believe that each of us, whether you're tapping into it or not, have an inner witch within us. And I'm going to tell you why. Is because we're so connected. Well, once you realize how connected we are to the seasonal cycles, to nature, a big part of being a witch is your connection with nature and your connection with how you're going to use, whether it's the change of season or how you're going to use seasonal foods to feed yourself and your family or to medicate yourself, whether you're sick, so you make yourself a ginger tea, et cetera, or you make yourself a really nice, comforting bowl of soup, or a friend of yours, a loved one, is going through a hard time. What do people usually do when someone's going through a hard time? You either are sitting on the phone and you're listening and you're there for them, or you might take an extra step and you might make them something really cozy and warm and nourishing. Yeah. And those are little things I think that we as women do, as people who, we talk about this a lot, Michelle. We are basically designed to help nurture and care for other people.
Yep.
And that doesn't just come out of nowhere, and it goes for ourselves too. We've got to nurture and be good to ourselves too. And I want to encourage our listener to find like the little inner witch within them. And if you already feel like it's kind of tapping at you and you're like, I know it's there, just dive in a little bit deeper. And it's not that hard and you don't need much. It's kind of like the hygge lifestyle. When we talk about like,
doesn't cost a thing.
It doesn't cost a goddamn thing.
You can be a witch for free $99.
You really could. And I know that even now it's like witch can sound like it has like that negative connotation to it, but think a little bit outside the box a little bit. I have 3 books here that I'm going to show you right now. They're part of my work bookshelf because these are really good references. This first one is called, and I just said it doesn't cost a thing. You don't have to buy these, but you can, look at them online or get them at the library. Rebel Witch.
Beautiful
great book by Kelly Ann Maddox. I got this a couple years back. This is my favorite book. This is a book that it's called Rebel Witch, but it should also be called How to Manifest the Life That You Want. And thinking outside the box by doing so. It talks about journaling. It talks about envisioning, manifesting. It's all the things that we talk about without using the word witch. That's what this book is going to tell you to do. It's really fucking cool. This is my favorite book. Another great book. This is for my people who have a green thumb, who want a green thumb, who are super into nature and to gardening. This is called The Green Witch. This is a great book for anyone who grows anything. This same author has one called, I believe, The Kitchen Witch. Michelle, you should have that on your bookshelf because it's all about people who are making foods and using their inner witch to kind of conjure up delicious meals for their loved ones.
And I feel like if you're looking to find some Instagram inspiration, an amazing green witch that she doesn't necessarily call herself that, but it's, maybe she does. Yeah. Jen Neubauer.
She's a witch.
She's a green witch to the core. She is growing and creating food and manifesting a whole world that is just really, really kind of magical to watch. Trent, like, go. I don't even know what the word I was supposed to say there. Just lose my
Check out her. It's Hook and Garden. Jen is her name. She's a good friend of ours. We met her. I met her at a propagating class during COVID with a popular plant man.
That's right. Yep. That's where you met her.
So that's how I met her. And we knew that we were like, okay, I saw her we just connected from there on out. She's fucking awesome. And then something a little bit more cheeky. This is a great book, Basic Witches, and it's called How to Summon Success, Banish Drama, and Raise Hell with Your Coven. And all of these books that I have, it's so cute. All of these books that I have, I guess you could call them like self-help books that help you really manifest and design the life you want. On the train, I was reading Rebel Witch, and one of the passages I was reading about was envisioning what a year from right now looks like. And so I sat while I was listening I will tell you, while I was listening to that lady play Fruit Ninja, I decided that what I should do is plug up my ears. So I put in my own earbuds and put on my own music. And I sat and envisioned what I see a year from now. And I don't do that often enough. And it was really fun to think about like where I was going to be, what Luna was going to be doing, what TSP was going to be doing, what Anthony. And it was just fun and invigorating.
I think the practice it's really about being intentional. It's about being intentional and not just waking up and going through the motions of life, but really sitting down, on a pretty weekly basis, in a shorter time period, I spend my time thinking and mapping out the things that I want to happen or I am going to make happen in some way. And whether it's business related or if I want to plan something, whatever it is. And it's really, you do sort of feel like you're kind of hanging out with a crystal ball and working your magic. And
Michelle,
you get a text
100%.
from me every week. Portal is open. That's not just because I'm just sending positive vibes. I got a plan.
You are saying,
I am thinking about what I want to do, what I want us to do. And then we put it out there and it just comes.
The universe delivers. And Michelle really does. She'll text message me and say the portal is open. And when I see that text come in, I see like this round, black, purple portal and it's like illuminated. And I'm like, there's so much energy conjuring up right now, which is what our business needs, man.
Exactly. And it's really fun too with our little coven here that you and I just share with each other. Like that's really fun to share that, I don't know, those desires with somebody, because I know if I were on the receiving end of a text that said that and I was a teammate to that person, I would be like, and I'm going to go ahead and get on your broomstick, high flying disc, whatever the hell you want to call it. We're doing it. And
we're doing it. And Michelle, you have such a big inner witch in you because listen, you say and do things like that. And I find you to be like the type of the witchy woman who does create meals and you use recipes and you create food for people. It's your kind of like your what's it called? It's your love language. It's your witch language. And I also really admire the time you spend in nature, and being witchy means that you spend a lot of time in nature. And your way of doing it is for exercise, to release stress and anxiety, and also to connect. You love connecting with the animals that are out there. Like when you see a deer, they're so peaceful. You work with that energy, whether you know it or not. And you leave those woods feeling absolutely relaxed and happy.
Creative, inspired.
And creative. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, I wanted to share just a couple things. If you're like, okay, this is kind of piquing my interest, here's just a couple things you should know about, living the witch life, is that anyone could be one. Listen, I started this little journey when I was probably around 7 or 8 years old at the Walden Books in Western Springs, sitting on the floor reading witch books. It was the coolest thing ever. Actually, it was one of the best things that's ever happened to me because it made me realize, oh, okay, I feel a little bit more connected to this than other things I'm learning about in regards to idolizing and worship and, religion. I was like, this just is more my language. And I knew that around 7 or 8 years old. The other thing is, as we mentioned, it's just about, it has something to do, a big thing to do with spending time in nature. If being a witch to you means this and only this, that you go outside and you take deep breaths in and let that breeze just push past you and you just feel that for 5 minutes, then there's your witchcraft. And it's also beautiful. Enjoy it.
And this is all of the senses are being connected here. It's what you're seeing. It's what you're hearing, what you're smelling, what you're feeling, tasting. That all encompassing experience is very witchy.
And we talk about this whole time spent in nature. And one of the other things that people like myself like to do is celebrate the seasons, the shift of seasons, whether it's the autumn equinox or the winter solstice. You take a moment out of your day to acknowledge, okay, we have switched seasons. So now that means like, okay, I'm going to change the decor. For me personally, the temperature is just right now in Chicago that I'm lighting a candle, a white pillar candle every day, first thing in the morning, because it's going to kind of add a little warmth to my home. And it not really like temperature wise, ambiance wise, right? So I do things like that. The moon, that's who I pray to. That's who I talk to. I talk to the universe. I talk to the moon. Every time I get on a flight and we take off, Anthony and I hold hands. And in my head, I say, universe, protect this plane, protect the pilots, give them good knowledge of how to get this plane to and from safely. That's just, and then when it comes to the moon, I greet it. I say hello. There's so much that we can learn and use from the gifts that nature and the cycles give us. And if you lean into the seasons, which is what we are all about here at TSP, you will be living a more mindful life and maybe more witchy.
You were making me, I just kind of laughed a little bit when you said you and Anthony hold hands on the plane. The only time I hold Ryan's hand on the plane is when I feel a slight bump and then I break his first two fingers. That's the kind of hand holding we're doing over here in the Anderson house.
What I would do if I were you is, as takeoff happens, is say, like, universe, protect this plane. Do exactly what I do. It gives you a sense of power and belief and, and belief that you're going to get to and from safely. Even if some bumps come along, you've asked the universe to keep an eye on the pilot and the flight attendants. And just a key message here, most of the time they know when turbulence is coming. So that's they're usually aware of that. So even if it's a shock to you, the crew is usually in tune to it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And then just a couple other things about practicing being a witch and witchcraft and whatnot. It's great for spiritual growth. It also provides a sense of ritual and structure. Again, like shifting with the change of the seasons is a great way for me to align myself with the time of the year and to flow through it and energetically connecting to nature and the vibe that we are moving through as the year goes by. Great opportunity for creative expression, whether it's creating like a seasonal altar or practicing tarot reading. get a tarot card deck this Halloween, you guys, and have some fun with it. It's all about storytelling and intuition and kind of manifesting ideas and whatnot. And one of the last things that I love about being witchy is the sense of community and belonging. And I think this LaGrange witch ride, again, whether or not these are practicing witches or not, the idea of being a witch clearly brings people together. And it's been a long time since, witches were burned at the stake or hung for their beliefs. So it's a wonderful thing to see a group of people come together. And community, as we know, is super important when it comes to just living a well-balanced life. And if you find your community in a coven, well, then let all hell break loose. Then go with it.
You know what? There was one area that we kind of talked about it, but I want to touch on it a little bit more than knowing what you want. You mentioned this thing about spell work requiring you to be clear about your intent. And when I see that, I just think about what Mel Robbins is teaching people all the time about saying it and claiming it.
Yes.
And so if you're not into the witchy thing, but you need a different delivery of how to understand what we're talking about here, that's what we're talking about.
It's the same thing.
Be clear, say what you want, claim it. And then suddenly what you're going to see and experience is those wishes, the spells that you cast,
it's
the desires.
It
happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Put it out in the universe, whether it's journaling or, putting it in your brain as you lay in bed for the moment before you get to the day. Take a moment to just manifest what is it you're looking for the day. My mantra every day, today's going to be an amazing day. Incredible things are going to happen. Yeah. Every day, that's what I say before I get out of bed. And some days it goes as planned and some days
listen, I've said today's going to blow and then it does. So there you go. It just depends on what angle you're going to take.
I love you. Look, you are a true manifester. You really know how to get things in motion, whether they're good or for bad. And then lastly, as we mentioned, it's a great opportunity for mindfulness and meditation.
Yeah.
And as we know, we lead very, very busy lives. They are nonstop. We've got the weight of the world on our shoulders. We're never doing enough.
Constantly connected.
Yeah, all this bullshit. Getting a little witchy with it allows you a moment of peace and quiet, even if it's for 3 minutes in the shower as you close your eyes and you just manifest the day ahead or put some good energy out into the universe. However it is you want to look at it, there's a ton of books out there. There are some great practitioners out there on Instagram. We love the Comfy Cozy Witch. She has a couple books now written. Follow her if you want to really get cozy with your witchcraft. It's fun. And if for nothing else, it's fun to amplify the season with for Halloween. Just
it's a
get
perfect
what you, even if it's just for October, have fun with it.
Totally.
All right, you guys, let us know what you think about that. If there's any witches listening, I'd love to hear more about your ongoing witchcraft this season. All right, Michelle, moving into listening, reading, watching, and listening to. It looks like you are watching Dead Poets Society.
Mm-hmm.
When did you watch it?
Last night. And I forgot how much I really, when I tell you that our Sunday here was Greek islands and then watching
couch
rotting all day.
Great.
Just needed it. So actually Mia joined me for this. And just to give a recap, you guys, this movie was made in 1989, but it was set in the 50s, at an elite boarding school. Robin Williams was an English teacher and he was unorthodox. He was teaching these kids about, poetry and to embrace their individuality, free thinking and carpe diem, seize the day. And, the story unfolds and he eventually all I have to say is this, guys. I love this movie for 1,000 different reasons. Number one, when I watched it last night, it kind of reminded me, I thought to myself, maybe this is what inspired my love for literature, not necessarily poetry, but just the classroom experience and having a teacher that is so passionate and also teaching you messages like free thinking and seizing the day and doing what you want. But also it's so fall and leaning into the season.
They say on all the fall lists of movies to watch, this is on there. Good. You've inspired me. I will actually definitely watch this in the next coming days.
Awesome.
Another movie that Michelle and I both watched was Salem's Lot on Max. And I think we are both here to say that it did the job. It gave you the spookies, couple good jump scares, and super nostalgic. It really brought you back to, I mean, what was that, like the 70s or something, like late 70s, early 80s, probably late 70s or so. Fantastic job. So as you guys know, maybe you don't, Salem's Lot is
I
a
did
novel.
not know anything about this story. I literally went into it blind.
It's such a long book. I read half of it and the book is terrifying. And then I just fell off. This was years ago. I recall seeing the very first Salem's Lot, quite scary as well. It's basically about a town, Salem's Lot, and a writer, an author comes back to his hometown, and that would be Bill Pullman's son. I think his name is Lewis Pullman.
I knew it was Bill Pullman's son.
I mean, how can you not?
Oh my God.
It's a doppel. It's his twin.
Bill Pullman was in Spaceballs, right?
And Independence Day. Yes.
Okay.
He's the president.
I was like,
yes. I mean, he's like he's like BC actor. I mean, everyone knows Bill Pullman, but he's just that actor, and his son is up and coming and he's a really, really good actor. He's super cute too.
Super cute. And I loved him.
Yeah. He plays an author that goes back to his hometown to investigate, the death of his parents who died in a car crash. And little does he know, he's walking right into a moment when the town is starting to be taken over by like a head vampire. And it is good and it is scary. It is the perfect Halloween movie that you should watch right now.
I agree. And I just want to say it's scary, but it's not terrifying. So for all you scaredy cats out there, like, oh, I can't do it. It's not that scary.
No, it's a good scare.
It really scratches the itch of having the little spook during the season. I loved it.
So good. It's so good. Now, speaking of scary, we're going to move into listening to, Michelle's going to talk about something scary as well, menopause, but we're not going to be as scared of menopause as we should because we're getting educated.
We're going to be empowered.
Yes. So go ahead and share first. What are you listening to? You're really high on Dr. Mary Claire right now.
Yeah, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, who is like all over the podcast scene. She's an author. She's an expert doctor in the menopause field. I stumbled upon a podcast. This is called the Dr. Stephanie podcast. And the title of this one episode was The Menopause with Dr. Mary Claire Haver. And and the podcast is on The Better with Dr. Stephanie podcast. And basically what she does is you have two doctors going back and forth and they're having a conversation where they debunk fallacies, discuss hormone therapy options, and provide like the understanding of menopause and also of hormone replacement therapy. And I'm going to just tell you this, okay? This is a must listen for every woman. At the end of these podcasts, they always say, like, share this with your friend. Everybody needs to listen to this or some conversation with Dr. Mary Claire Haver, especially if you are in this stage of the game. For me, hormone replacement therapy, I've not really thought about it. I've not really investigated it much. I'm 47. I have minimal symptoms. I'm talking to my friends. They're sweating their asses off at night. Some of them are psychotic. They're all sharing their experience. And I'm feeling like sort of a mild entrance into this. But after listening to this podcast, I am totally going to go and explore hormone replacement therapy for myself if we think it's a good fit for me. And also as a way of prevention as my estrogen depletes.
Totally.
Because we go our whole lives with estrogen and then all of a sudden it disappears. And there's things that we can do so this experience isn't miserable. It was just eye-opening, super informing and informative. And I highly recommend it.
Beautiful. And I find that anytime I even bring up like perimenopause to any of my doctors, it's a real quick, like, yeah, no, blah, blah, blah. And it's just something that is not discussed because I honestly think that they don't know a lot about it.
No,
or
they
else
don't.
Or else they'd be having the conversation with me. It's a shutdown and it's exceptionally frustrated. So thank you for offering some tools for us ladies out here to understand a bit more. And I encourage our male listeners as well, if you have a female partner, maybe at some point going through menopause, to also educate yourself on it. I cannot tell you how many times growing up, I have heard a man say about a woman going through menopause, oh, she's just fucking crazy right now, or we're not doing well because she's nuts, she's going through menopause. Or I've heard other people talk about other people's wives because their husbands are talking shit about them. That's not going to help the situation.
Yep.
Everyone should be well educated and informed and patient, and also a little empathetic, because these are huge changes that women have to go through.
And I also think that the more we educate ourselves and inform ourselves and become an expert at our experience and our bodies and what's going on, we'll be able to teach everybody and share and explain. I think right now you and I should manifest for our audience and
what are we manifesting?
That Dr. Mary Claire Haver become a guest on our podcast and share her wisdom. But also Lauren and I are going to investigate somebody in town nearby that is an expert in this field for ourselves, and we will share what we learn when we find them.
Mm-hmm. My podcast that I'm listening to is very different than yours.
Shocker.
Shocking. This is called Noble. My friend Patrick cued me into this one. You guys, in 2002, investigators from the Environmental Protection Agency discovered dead bodies. Hello, that's the vibe I'm going with this
That's
week.
where I run in the other direction.
On the grounds of the Tri-State Crematory in Noble, a town in the northwest corner pocket of Georgia. For years, Ray Brent Marsh, the business owner, would take in bodies from funeral homes and dump or bury them on and around the property instead of cremating them. Law enforcement searches on the grounds ultimately uncovered 339 bodies, some of which had been decomposed into skeletons, some were mummified. It is an insane story.
Up, man.
I remember when this happened. I remember the news article.
Really?
I remember I remember being like, dead bodies found all over. Yep. I remember it vaguely, and I didn't tune into it a bunch, but this is a wild story. And there's just so much that goes into it. I just encourage the reader, if you're into true crime-ish, something a bit unsettling, and into listening about dead bodies, it's very science. There's a lot of science here as well. I recommend it's a very good listen, and it's just, really kind of leans into the season of spooky things. Okay. With that being said, we are moving right into our next and last segment. Michelle, what are you doing for your cozy, mindful well-being?
I touched on it a little bit moments ago. Bed rotting and being okay.
You're back to bed rotting.
Being okay with doing nothing. My kitchen was a mess. Things were not tidied up. It's not, but I was like, it's okay. And I also shared with my family, I have nothing left to give today. And I'm going to relax.
Fend for yourselves. Nothing. Bake yourself a sandwich.
And wouldn't you know it, Will came upstairs and he goes, I cleaned the kitchen for you. Clean the whole goddamn thing.
I love him.
I was like, I love you.
Bless his heart.
So he's
a good kid.
Bed rot, put your desire to do absolutely nothing out there. And then very witchily, what you might be able to do is harness a family member might pick up the slack for you and clean it for you.
Well, I got to say, you kind of manifested that, because here's the deal. You told them I'm done. And then maybe someone else was like, got that, you put that little spell on them, and they're like, well, I guess I'm going to go clean the kitchen, because help out. Good work, Michelle. Good work.
Yep.
I think you need a D&D sign for your door. Do not disturb bed rotting. I'm going to get that made for you.
That's a great idea. D&D, bed rotting in process.
Yeah. Do not bother me. I am really leaning into the toddler Halloween experience.
Fun.
Luna is obsessed with everything pumpkins. At this point, anything Halloween-y is a pumpkin, like a skull, pumpkin, everything.
Cute.
So it's really fun. I get a lot of skulls out. So my decor is skull heavy in the home on the inside. And at one point she pet the skull, and I said, that's our Halloween pet. And she said, Halloween pet. So that's kind of the vibe we're going for. I just put Whoreface up in the door, and I'm hoping she just points to it and goes, Mama, instead of being scared. She's watched Hocus Pocus. I'm my mom. She's going to see movies she probably shouldn't see. She laughs at Hocus Pocus. She thinks it's funny. Hopefully the zombie guy's not giving her nightmares. And that's what I'm doing this season.
I'm really excited for you to lean into the season with a toddler, because there is There is nothing more fun, slightly exhausting, but mostly the most fun of having a little one around to have those. It just makes it so fun.
Yeah, we're working on trick or treat. I'm trying to tell her like how the whole, situation flows and goes when we come out to your house for Halloween. And I'm loving it. It's fun and it brings a different, I'm more like the occult, skulls, dead things for Halloween. And now I got to lean into a little bit more child friendly and I'm having a blast.
Love it.
And it's keeping me young and sometimes a little tired, like you said. In any case, you guys, we are wishing you all a very beautiful, spooky, hopefully a little witchy October. And as all things, ladies and gentlemen,
stay cozy, listener.
Thank you for joining us for today's Cozy Conversation. For more of The Sister Project, check us out on Instagram at The Sister Proj and our website, www.thesisterprojectblog.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and maybe even drop us a review. Until next time, stay cozy.